Hello and welcome back to another gear review. I'm Marty and today I want to present to you the Klark Teknik 1176, which is obviously a recreation of the classic 1176 compressor. I would say let's go quickly through the features and then I'm gonna play some sounds through it. Like on the old unit, we got a input knob and an output knob, so you can blend those two depending how much compression you actually want and how much output gain you want. Then attack release from slow to fast, same as on the classic unit. Then we got the ratio 4:1, 8:1. Then we are in the limiting 12 and 20:1. We got a rather beautiful view meter. And here are the different metering modes, which are gain reduction on top here, +4, +6, +8, and the gain reduction, as I said before. And on the back of the unit, of course, you can see the power cable. So it's not a wall wart. Everything is built into it. Then we got input and output, balanced and unbalanced. We got a pad. So if you have loud signal, you can turn it down with the pad. And you got also a little tiny screw where you can actually set the meter. Just some quick words on the build quality of the unit itself. As I unboxed it, I couldn't find any flaws so far. The knobs are actually very well made, so you can really hear the click there. Same goes for all the input, output knobs and so forth, and not the release. They are not stepped, but obviously also on the original unit, they are not stepped. What I would have found a little bit more interesting is that with the different metering modes, that they would have, instead of like a +8 metering mode, they could have made something like a sidechain to make it kind of like a little bit more modern. But all in all, everything is there that is on the classic 1176 unit. All right, so I think that's enough of talking now. And I would say we're gonna hear some sound samples. I prepared some drum sounds and also a acoustic guitar and vocals. So let's see how that sounds. Of course, there's another video in the description below where you can hear just the sounds without me talking, so you can really compare the compressed and uncompressed signal and how it sounds. All right, so I would say let's get started. Okay, so the first one is a drum kit, mono drum kit. Just gonna pass it through. Of course, normally you have a drum kit in stereo, but just for the sake of it, so you can hear how your overheads, for example, if you play that mono, may sound like. So let's play a little bit. Got no compression now. Let's try the 4:1. Let's a little bit faster attack and a slower release. Okay, so that's without. And of course we have to increase the output a little bit because we are compressing. Without. And with. Of course, it's a little bit difficult to show the bypass because you always have to turn down the output knob if you want to bypass it. There is a hint on this typical model. If you depress all the ratio knobs, it's in bypass. I think on the classic unit you had on the attack, when you turned it all the way counterclockwise, you were in the bypass mode. I think it's also a little bit different on the warm unit. But it's a little bit to play around with the output knob because obviously there is no make-up gain that you have on other units. All right, so let's see again. Let's try 8:1. Let's try and squash it just for the sake of it. Wow, now that's really 1176 style compression here. Okay, let's turn it back again. Let's try also limiting. So let's say we want just to cut the transients a little bit. So that's without. And with. Maybe a little bit more. So for example, when you have 2 units, so you can make a stereo operation with that, and you want to have it on drum bus, for example. Again, without. And with. All right. So I would say let's go to another example, and I'm gonna use now just the snare for that. And then we have a look also at acoustic guitar and of course vocals. All right. Okay, so snare. Let's engage 4:1 compression. Let's dial in something that I would use on the snare. So that's without. And with. Of course, you can also really slam it. So it really brings out the room sound. Let's try 8:1. Without. And with. Okay, so that's the snare. Okay, now acoustic guitar. Of course, in the other video in the description below, there are all the sounds. There's also bass and a kick drum. But just to have a little bit of a sound example here in this review, let's take now the acoustic guitar. Okay. That sounds actually quite good already. That's without and with. Let's try really fast attack. Well, that would be a little bit too soft for my taste. It takes all the transients away. That's the slowest release. Sounds really compressed now. So around 2 to maximum 3 dB of compression is quite okay here. Again, that's without and with. Let's try also limiting 12:1. Make it faster. Bit more input gain. Again with. Okay, so sounds really nice. And now let's try also female vocals. That's actually the main part where I want to use an 1176. It's a very classic sound, and let's see how that holds up on the vocals.
Holding me now could never be wronger than right now. Holding me now would leave to everything that I don't want to feel on my own. And I can't breathe out the words that I would love to hear from you. I got time and you got shelter. I'm falling into pieces. I'd leave it all behind. I'm falling into pieces.
Let's, just for the sake of it, make the release very slow.
I'm falling into pieces. I'd leave
Fast
it
attack.
all behind. I'm falling into
so that's really
pieces.
Let's dial it back again.
Right.
Maybe
Holding me
here.
now could never be wronger than right now. Holding me now would leave to everything that I don't want to feel on my own. And I can't breathe out the words that I would love to hear from you. I got time and you got shelter.
Let's try also 8 to 1.
Into pieces, I'd leave it all behind. I'm falling into pieces.
So let's really squash it now.
Get the message right. I'm falling into pieces. I'd leave it all behind. I'm falling into pieces.
For example, you might want to use it on a parallel compression. So you can really squash it and blend it in with the original signal. Works really great.
Holding me now would leave to everything that I don't.
But I would use 4 to 1 standard and maybe around 3 here. Faster release.
I would love to hear from you. I got time and you got shelter. I'm falling into pieces.
That's probably somewhere in the ballpark that I would use on the vocal here.
I'm falling into pieces.
Okay. Alright, so that's basically it. A very quick look at the Klark Teknik 11D6. What I really like about this unit on the first test here now is that it doesn't take away any of the high end, especially in the vocals. That is always a little bit my fear, especially with plugins. They tend to have sometimes the compressor take away a little bit of the frequency spectrum. Is it the low end or the high end? But this unit actually, I can't hear it that it doesn't, or it does take away any high end. So that's really nice. Thumbs up for that. All right, so that's a really, really nice sounding unit. I think that Klark Teknik nailed the sound of the 1176 with that. I really, really like it on the vocals. And of course, I'm going to test it even further. As I said in the beginning, description below is another video where you have just the different sounds, and you also hear the compressed and uncompressed. I have also a kick drum and a bass in there, and spoken word, for example, if you want to use it in voiceover. So feel free to check that out, of course. All right, so thumbs up from me for the 1176 from Klark Teknik. And check it out if you are interested in it. It's a really great unit. And as always, see you in the next video. Please subscribe if you haven't already and want to see more gear reviews and mixing videos in the future. I'm Marty from Set Marty Production, and happy recordings.